Hi, I'm Suzanne Lazear, and I'm the author of the YA Steampunk Fairy Tale series, The Aether Chronicles. Book 1 is Innocent Darkness, and in this series I combine fairy tales, fairy lore, and steampunk all in one big package with flying cars and kissing and hot fairy boys and things like that. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the fairy lore I use in the series. And by fairy lore, I'm talking about the traditional fairy mythos. I draw very heavily from sort of the Irish fairy mythos, but I never specifically say who they are. I mean, this is an alternate history. Things could have changed, and whereas I took a lot of things that are really classic, I also tried to make this my own as well. For example, never think of fairy. That's traditional fairy lore. Oak trees being fairy trees, the different flowers that attract fairies, the ring of mushrooms, the wild hunt. I took all of that from fairy lore, the trumpets compelling you to run, and if you run, the hunt will chase you down and they will kill you, which is why you should run from them. The hounds, even Finn, the leader of the hunt, that's all from fairy lore. But then I made little changes. I mean, Queen Tiana, I made her up. Granted, you know, she did kill her sister, and we don't know who her sister is. And there is a line that does say that a lot of the things mortals believe about fairies aren't true. I mean, my fairies, I have people-sized fairies and I have little fairies. I blended everything together to create a really good story and to sort of make things my own. One of the biggest things I did to make this my own was the quartz. I have elemental quartz, earth, air, water, fire. And there's the high court and the dark court, because everything in my fairy world has opposites. And we'll learn more about that as the series goes on. And I didn't go with the seasonal quartz that you see in so many stories, spring, summer, fall, winter. And there's a number of reasons for that. I liked the idea of them having control of actual elements. And I watch way too much Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I wanted to do something a little different. And, well, Stephen has always had control of an element, even before I figured out that he was fae. And so that was just one of the things I did. Another big one was the sacrifice. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But that was something else that you do see the concept of the tithing in some fairy stories. But I kind of came up with the fairy running on the blood of teenage girls of my own. And again, I'm going to talk about that in another video. But I love fairies. And I love fairy lore, not just Irish fairy lore, like Welsh and, you know, Japanese and Norwegian and, you know, Slavic, and there are all sorts of really, really awesome fairy tale stories out there in fairy lore. And that's part of why I wrote the combination I did, is because I love fairy tales. I love fairies and fae and steampunk, and so I kind of mushed it all together. Anyway, what is your favorite bit of fairy lore? I mean, one of mine is I love the whole idea of if you see the fairies dancing in the moonlight, cross into the circle, you'll never be able to get out, or in some variations it's 7 years. You know, and how about never eat fairy food? That's another very sort of classic bit of lore. If you eat fairy food, you're stuck there. Another one that I kind of changed to my own devices is that, you know, the idea of a knight in fairy is 7 years in the mortal realm, and I don't quite have that, but I do have some time discrepancy between the two. So anyway, I'd love to know what you think and your favorite kind of fairies. Hit me up on Twitter at Suzanne Lazear, or on Facebook at our Aether Chronicles fan page, which is the Aether Chronicles, or you can learn more about the series at www.aetherchronicles.com. Thanks, have a great day.